Hello there. I am just pulling up the live video on my laptop as well so that I can answer questions and be here for you all. But I have to mute that first. There we go. Let's see if it's showing me live yet. There we are. Excellent. Getting there. I'm getting there. All right, I think I'm up. Excellent. All right. So, hi, I'm Tara C. Sinclair, the bag pattern designer behind Creations. I have a brand new pattern launching today that I think you're going to love. But to introduce that, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about who I am and tell you a little bit about the new pattern. The new pattern is the Jack Sling Pack. But let's back up. Some of you are brand new to me. That means I kind of want to tell you who I am and why I do this. I figured it wouldn't hurt. Because if you're new here, you're new. I'm the face behind Creations. Tara C. Sinclair. I am the bag pattern designer. I teach, I do presentations, I do lectures. I love bags. And I love designing, and more importantly, I love sharing my skills with, I'll call it my audience, but you know that's very influencer-like. I love sharing this with everybody out there. Hello, Chandel, welcome to my live. I am a Bernina Canada ambassador, so I do sew on Bernina sewing machines. I design every one of my bags for a domestic sewing machine. Right now, I do have a B08 set up. It's a heavy duty straight stitch only machine. I do normally sew on a B570 QE, which is a standard Bernina. It's a quilting and embroidery sewing machine. Hello, Helen, welcome. So every one of my patterns, I make on those machines. I do have an industrial over there. I do leather on that machine, and that's what that machine is for. I don't design my bags around an industrial. I make sure that every home sewer, when using the proper materials, can make every one of my designs. Part of my goal, making sure that we can all do this together. So I don't do a lot of videos myself. I rather be in person, which is why I teach. You'll find I have an events page on my website, Creations. Hey, Leah. I have an events page on my website. It lists all my coming up classes, all of my upcoming speaking events, everything that I have coming up, including my Great Alberta Bagoneer Getaway. I host that every spring and every fall with Emmaline Bags. So all of my events always on my website. So you'll find everything on my website at creations.com. So I do come from a quilting background. That's why I do have a quilt there. But now the quilts I do all have curves because bags have curves, and that's my favorite thing to do. So I do come from a quilting background. I bag make. I dabble with garment sewing because it's fun, because you can make things that are unique. I've recently made a denim jacket. And then just last week, I actually made a silk shirt dress. So it's a button-up shirt that's actually a dress length. I will be sharing that out in the next week or two. It's coming. I just made it. Give me time. I do presentations at quilt guilds. I do presentations for quilt shops, whether it's a trunk show or it's a lecture. Typically things like the bag making supplies. Hey, Michelle, bag making supplies, where to get them, or what's that in my bag pattern, because there's weird interfacings and stabilizers. I do lectures on the specific materials, so like our zippers or our hardware and how we're using them. So all kinds of things. And then all of my patterns are available not only as PDFs on my website, but they're also available as paper patterns to local quilt shops as a wholesale option for them. So those paper patterns I don't sell on my website retail. I only sell them wholesale to our quilt shops. So if you want paper patterns, talk to your local quilt shop and have them connect with me. We'll set up a wholesale account and get them in there. But what we're here for today, let's be honest, is we all want to see the new pattern, right? Yeah. All right, so the new pattern is the Jack Sling Pack. I have the paper copy here. Okay, so the Jack Sling Pack, and he does come with 3 different sizes, so I'm going to show you all 3 of those. The pattern itself is designed around using a slightly heavier material than quilting cotton, but lighter than a vinyl. So a light denim, a canvas, waterproof canvas. Leah actually made her tester out of soft shell and a waterproof canvas. Harris tweed. Lynn did one with Harris tweed and cork. We have had the faux leathers and the vinyls also made, all on domestic machines. And then the lining, we recommend quilting cotton, but again, you can switch that up with a waterproof canvas. Just recognize that interfacing, stabilizers, everything for the pattern is designed around the materials in the list, okay? So just know that. It does use foam in the front and back of him. So the front panel and the back panel gets foam, but not the gusset. There, Chandel, I do see your question. There are 3 videos currently launched, and there's a 4th one coming that I know about for sure. I highly encourage my testers to do the video tutorials. That leaves me free to do my classes, and they do a wonderful job. Absolutely wonderful. So right now, there is a video available by Ashtown Creations. There's another one by M. Graham Sews, and a 3rd one by That's So Nova. When you get the pattern, before you message me and say, I can't find the supplement sheet you're looking for, there's a QR code in your pattern, and when you get the PDF pattern, it's a clickable link. It takes you to a page designed for supplemental information on this pattern, just for the Jack Sling Pack. And the 3 tutorials are listed there. There's labels that you can print and cut out for your pieces as you cut them out. And then there's some modifications that I'm going to continue to add to. That's why it's a whole page on my website. So when somebody has a great idea and says, Tara, I don't know how to do this for the Jack, I can say, great, let me put it right on this page. You'll always have access to it. So let's go take a look at some of these bags. And we're going to start with the cover photo bags because I have them right here. So the Jack Sling Pack, this is what I call the medium size, okay? You can see the size of him, he's pretty big. I do recommend wearing Jack in medium on your back. He makes a great sling on your back. He's a little big for the front of your body, but everybody's different. Literally, everybody. Not everybody, everybody. Okay? So, let's talk about this one. This one is the Harris tweed from Emmaline Bags. I made him completely out of that Harris tweed. All of the Jacks have this flange that some of you may recognize from the Louis waist pack. Don't be afraid. It does have that flange. It makes the base bigger than the top so that when you put things in, it's got a full structure or full size base on it. Okay, so in the front, I've left it as a blank canvas. You get to do what you want to do. Substitutions, supplemental. So support, I think you mean the supplemental page, support. So this front panel, you could actually embroider that, you could piece that, you could use a different material, you could use a feature fabric, you can use a panel, anything on there. And that medium size, it's got a nice big blank canvas for you. You could even quilt your foam to that front panel. On the back, I do have a slip pocket in each of these, okay? It does have one big slip pocket in the back. This one, I added the Harris tweed label to it because it is full Harris tweed. And you do have the strap anchors on both sides so that you can wear it left or right. Thanks, Myra and Rochelle. So this guy, the medium, is designed to fit a full-size iPad. So I do have one over there, but it's all the way across the room. It's my husband's. I'll get in trouble if I move it because then he won't find it. So we do have the 2 zippers. And when we open that up, I fit the small one in there. You can see it opens really wide. It opens really wide, so lots of space. Oh, the QR code. Yes, Chandel. So the QR code is a code that you use with your phone. And in your phone, you have your camera app. If you hover the camera over that QR code, then it's going to take you to a link that takes you to my website for that page. Or if you have the PDF file, you can just click on that code, that big rectangle or square. I don't know my shapes today. And it's going to take you to that same page on your device. Alternatively, instead of using the link in the web on the pattern, you can just go to the website and in the search bar, type in Jack Sling and the page will come up. So it's not hidden, it's there. So when we open this up, you do have the neck size in there. That's the small. I'm going to set them aside for a moment and continue talking about the medium. We have a slip pocket in there. You can see this is a turned finish. Turned finish means we have a turning gap and we turn it through that finish so that you just have a turning gap to close up. And we do have binding in the back. One seam, only one seam. I highly recommend giving it a shot. It does give it a nice finish on this bag. I'm not a huge fan of binding. In fact, when it comes to my quilts, I may have a quilt downstairs that just needs to be squared and bound. I'm avoiding it. But I also have 2 techniques on my YouTube channel. One using fold over elastic and the other using a non-fray waterproof canvas. And I'll walk you through how to do that in a short little YouTube short. They call it a short. So it's a very quick little video helping you out there. So it is bound, just the one seam. You can do this without binding it. You can turn it. I just haven't done that in the pattern because when you get to the mini, the binding's the way to go. So this is the medium, okay? Then we get to the small, because he is pretty small. I've made this one out of canvas from Emmaline Bags, okay? It's a beautiful canvas. I love that watercolor print. Again, you have that flange on the side, giving you a slightly bigger bottom than the top, so you can fit more in there. I've left the front on these because they're as per the pattern, just completely blank with just my label on them, okay? This guy, I do like to slip on my front, okay? Easy wear, the zipper is easily accessible. You can have it with your wallet right in there, or even a small water bottle, okay? It does fit a water bottle. Okay, so this one, again, on the back, we have that slip pocket. Something you'll notice on this pocket on my versions, I did not top stitch it. I've left it just as a flat feature, but you'll see that the exterior fabric comes down on both insides of that pocket, giving you this really nice finish. You're not seeing a peak of the lining anywhere. It's a nice finish. But you do have a lined pocket. It's fully lined. And it does fill that entire space, okay? They each do have a slightly different sized sling strap piece here, just due to the width of the top of the bag. I wanted to maximize that, make sure we're using it fully. And then you have your strap anchors, so again, you can flip this over to the other side for your convenience. We're going to open that one up. And again, this is the small. So we've had medium and this is small. I've used waterproof canvas for this one. This is actually a nylon pack cloth from Emmaline Bags. The Harris tweed one, I did just use quilting cotton as per the pattern. In this case of using the nylon pack cloth, I don't use a woven interfacing. Oh, Chandel, it would be perfect for the bike. I don't use a woven interfacing on this. I just cut and sew it. With the quilting cotton, I always use a woven interfacing on that. And again, you can see you've got that nice clean finish around the zipper. And then when I remove the mini, we'll get to that one, we do have that binding in the back and our slip pocket again. You can see I've used 1.5 inch webbing on this one as well as on the medium. These are fun webbings I got from Emmaline Bags. And that double-headed zipper. Okay, so 2 zipper heads so that I can open it whichever way. That means that if it's sitting this way, you can open just this side, or if it's sitting this way, you can go the other way, right? Okay. So that's the small, okay? And finally, the third size. This is the mini. He's super cute. This one I did use the wax canvas from Emmaline Bags for. And again, webbing is 1.5 inch wide from Emmaline Bags. Oh, he's a little high up. Just drop him down. Okay. That mini is almost like it's perfect for a shopping day where you just need your wallet and your phone. Like, it's super small. It's designed to fit your phone nicely. And I'd use my phone and show it to you, but it's right up here. You're staring at me through it. So it's kind of hard. But again, we have that double zipper in the front, that nice plain front, and that wax canvas gets that nice smooshy, crinkly look to it. Okay. You do have the flanges on the side again, so when you open them up, you've just got that cupping in the front so that things don't fall out. Okay. The foam, as I had mentioned in the material list, we only have foam in the front and back. And with the mini, it's kind of optional because he's small enough that if your material has enough stability to it, you could really skip it altogether. Personal preference. That's on that extra page that's on my website, the supplement page, so that you can change it up to make perfect for you. Make it perfect. Now on the back, again, we have that slip pocket. Okay. This fits my iPhone, not the XL, just calling it. Those extra large iPhones, you're not fitting that in there. However, this does fit my normal iPhone. And I tell you what number it is, but I can't recall. There's too many numbers out there. Okay, and again, we have those strap anchors on the bottom so that you can flip it left and right. You can do the flippy thing. Okay. That strap anchor here, I do want to talk about that and the structure of a strap anchor like this. What this allows is for you to be able to put your webbing far enough into that seam that even if your webbing one day does start to fray inside, I have it sticking in there a good inch. But if you're using a really thick webbing, it's not going into the seam at the top of the bag. Okay, so structurally, having a strap anchor like this, I find, provides me with more stability for that strap, more durability as well. So that strap anchor then goes fully into the seam, and that piece, because it doesn't fray and it's not going to break out, as long as you've got some reinforced stitching in that seam, you can be as tough on this as you want. Okay. So inside here, again, we do have just that slip pocket. Okay. We couldn't add a lot of pockets to this because once you get to this mini size, there's not a lot of room for that. However, you're going to see that my testers, I give them a little bit of free rein. As long as they're checking the sizing and making sure things go together, I give them free rein to make this useful for them. Make this what they want to carry or they want to sell at markets. So you're going to find that on the medium size, some will have added zipper pockets to the front panel. Some of them have actually, I'm thinking Nancy Clara specifically, she loves the zipper pocket that's on the Louis, and so she added that zipper pocket from the Louis to the back panel instead of doing the slip pocket. You're going to find a few things out there, and my testers are so wonderful. They have great ideas. They do such beautiful jobs on their bags, and they have no hesitation telling me, Tara, were you smoking something weird when you put that together? Because there's no male end on a swivel hook. Right, Leah? Right, Nancy? So They do a wonderful job. So those are the 3 that are on the cover for the Jack Sling Pack. Okay. We have the Harris tweed. We have cotton canvas. I'm gonna zip these up so I can hold them all near each other so you can see those sizes again. And we have waxed canvas. Okay. I do have another full set here that I'm going to show you. Okay, so we have these 3. And if I stack them on top of each other this way, you can see that sizing. Okay. They are dramatically different sizes. Even the gusset depth is a little different on them. Okay. As I said, I like to wear that medium on my back. You could actually do 1-inch webbing, put 2 backpack straps on there and hook them onto those swivel hooks and you'd have a full backpack. I'll add that to the supplement page. I think it's a really good way to diversify that bag. Then we have that medium, great for a road trip, great for being on a trip. Like really, if you're going to be carrying a water bottle with you, or you've got a wallet that you want to put in here, or you're going to be shopping, we might do some shopping. Awesome. And then the mini I find is perfect for when I'm going to an event. If I don't have to carry things with me, I've got my wallet and my cell phone. Great size. So let's go take a look at another 3-pack. I did up all 3 bags in the prairie faux leather from Emmaline Bags. Okay. So this one is that medium size. These were prototypes, so there may be slight adaptations till the final, primarily around the flange sizes. Okay, so we have the medium. Again, these are all in prairie faux leather. When I work with the prairie faux leather from Emmaline Bags, first, I do find it's got a real leather texture to it. Like it just has that softness of leather. I love it. It's really fantastic. But I don't need to use the industrial for it. It's domestic friendly. I still use the foam in the front and back, but again, you could get away without that because of the structure of that faux leather. And no woven interfacing on any of those pieces. I didn't feel the need to stabilize any of that. I still have that slip pocket in the back, and you can see that slip pocket a little easier on this one. Okay. And I upsized my strap anchors because apparently I ran out of the right size of hardware. So I used 1-inch D-rings on these guys and just upsized my strap anchors. I have that handmade webbing, again, 1.5-inch wide, all from Emmaline Bags. And I kept it simple again on the front with just my label. I really love just using a feature fabric. If you're a strike sewist where you're sewing with a new fabric to a custom fabric company, that blank canvas, beautiful. Then when we open this guy up, we have our small inside again. In this one, I did use the nylon pack cloth from Emmaline Bags. And let's pull this sucker out. We have another faux leather from Emmaline Bags. This one's for green. I think it was called pea soup. I did tweak the shape of the flange on this guy. He comes up a little smaller now, or higher now. But this is the small size. Okay. Again, in that prairie faux leather. That slip pocket in the back. I think one of my testers even added one of those half moon magnetic snaps on the back of this. So you better be watching for those testers. They've done some fun things. Okay, when we open that one up, this one has sun shower on the inside, another style of waterproof canvas. I want to make all of these without diving into the woven interfacing. So that's what's going on here. I was just trying to prototype really quickly and not cut interfacing, but I still have the foam in each of these. And finally, that mini, squished right in there, okay? They're like these little nesting dolls. Again, that 1.5-inch wide webbing. This one's with the faux leather, that slip pocket in the back. And initially, when I brought these with me to Emmaline Bags to talk to Janelle, I'm like, I think I really need to move this pocket down a little bit. And she slipped her phone in, and the phone came just about up to the edge, and she's like, you're not moving that pocket, Tara. And I'm like, nope, you're right. So my iPhone slips just perfectly in there. It comes right up to there. And so the phone is right against your body if you're wearing that right against your body on the Mini, okay? So again, to talk about those sizes, let me zip these two back up. 1 and 2. All right, so we have the medium in the pink, okay? That's my biggest one. Fits an iPad. I'm not gonna say any tablets or any others. I just know the iPad. So take your own measurements and double check before you try to make it for any kind of laptop. Then we have the small, okay? Fits a small water bottle. And finally, the mini. Problem with making a pattern with 3 bag sizes is somehow I have to hold those without dropping them. Okay, so we have all 3 sizes in the one pattern. And if you get the paper pattern from one of my suppliers, then they come with all 3 sizes too. You're not missing out. Let's talk a little bit about the pattern itself. I draft patterns with diagrams, not photos, because diagrams print much better, in my opinion. I'll talk in my opinion. I like diagrams for their clarity. That's the word I'm looking for. You do have step-by-step instructions in metric and imperial. So we have both sets of measurements throughout the entire pattern. I try to keep my instructions short and sweet and to the point, okay? I don't chat through it, and I definitely don't tell you where to use double-sided tape or where not to, because being a Canadian designer, I have access to different materials than someone in South Africa or someone in Europe. And so I don't want you to feel like you need these supplies when you can do it without. So I don't tell you when to glue something or when to use double-sided tape. I will use the term baste it. Sometimes you can use double-sided tape instead of sew basting, but I like to sew baste. In my classes, I like to say I'm a bit of a lazy sewer, which means that if I don't have to get up from my machine to do something, I'm not going to. So I'll typically do the basting by machine at my machine instead of turning around and being at my cutting table and my work table to get the double-sided tape out or the glue. So I do try to keep my instructions short and to the point. You do have those full color diagrams walking you step by step. And you have pattern pieces in the PDF pattern for not only all the shapes, but also the squares and rectangles. When you purchase a paper pattern from a quilt shop, from one of my suppliers, it only comes with the shapes. But you're not left standing alone. You do have a blog post on my website that actually has pages so that you can cut out squares and rectangles of whatever size makes sense to you. So if you need a link to that, just let me know. But if you take a look at my how-to blog section, I've got it in there. Then you have the supplement page. So the pattern comes with a QR code. That QR code is clickable in the PDF, or you can scan it with your phone and it takes you to what I call a supplement page. And as I add more hacks and modifications, I'm going to include that on that page. So you'll always have access to my latest information, latest ideas, everything like that. I'm going to show you one more because I was just in Saskatoon for a quilt show this past weekend. And before I left, I decided I needed to make myself a bag, right? So the day before I left, I decided I was going to make a mini for myself. And again, I didn't want to do a lot of cutting, so I didn't want to do the interfacing thing. But then I decided to add more. So let's start with, I made myself a mini for me to carry through the quilt show, through the pro bull riding. I went to the pro bull riding in Saskatoon. It was phenomenal. Okay, so I made a mini. This is the waterproof canvas from Emmaline Bags in their custom print. That zipper, like seriously, that's from Zipper Valley. It is a matte black with that hot pink. Look at it, just pull that pink out of that. I love it. I couldn't go wrong with that. I do just have my label on the front, and this is still full of my stuff. So bear with me. It's still my purse. On the back, I do have that slip pocket, and that's where I'd slip all my receipts as I was traveling, okay? And I do have this great webbing, okay? It says, be bold, be kind, be brave, and it's from Purple Cat's Quilting, okay? Purple Cat's Quilting was the booth I was hanging at all weekend long at the Saskatoon Quilt Show. And we were selling kits for the Jack Sling Pack as a pre-release. So it had the pattern, the fabrics, the webbing, the zippers, the interfacing, the stabilizers, you name it. Everything came in one bag. And if you pop over to their website, they still have some available. We almost sold out. Almost. So what I did in here though, I gotta check and see if there's anything private showing. Bear with me a second. Let me take my driver's license out. You guys don't want to see those things. And you don't get my credit card. Just calling it. All right. I added card slots to it using the Louis waist pack hack to add card slots. So I used the width measurement from the small Louis waist pack card slots, and I made 2 more card slots than it tells you in the blog post, and then added the panels to the side, which of course I had to lengthen as well from the blog post. And I made that my lining panel. So all of my cards just slipped right in here for travel. And then I had my reading glasses. I have my new 3D printed zipper jig from Purple Cat's Quilting. I have my floss. I have my AirPods. I have my Splenda tabs because I don't drink coffee without sweetener. I've got, of course, my Emmaline Bags chapstick. You gotta have chapstick. We're Alberta and Saskatchewan. I have my electrolytes powder. What else have I got in here? Another electrolytes. Oh, I'm throwing things already. A measuring tape, because what sewer goes without a measuring tape? Gotta set this down. The pen, the business cards, and then the card slots. I fit so much in here. I even had my chocolate covered raisins stashed in here when I went to PBR, the pro bull riding. What else did I have in here? Like seriously, it fit it all. And this is the mini, okay? This is all I carried all weekend long, all week long, while I was in Saskatoon visiting my friend Leah and partying at the Saskatoon Quilt Show and PBR. If you wanted to see something about PBR, pop over to my Instagram and my TikTok. I put a little reel up. It was crazy. It was absolutely amazing. Those boys are nuts. It was perfect. It was perfect. So that mini, as I said, it's like a wallet with more. Sometimes I would actually slip my cell phone into the body of this with my stuff. Sometimes I'd slip it in the back, but it was all I needed. It was perfect. Now, I also know the next question that's going to come up is, how does this compare to Louis? Okay. Jack was inspired by the Louis waist pack. Okay. I have been carrying the Louis waist pack in the medium size, not the small, but in the medium size, pretty much since it was launched. The Louis waist pack medium is a touch bigger than the mini. Okay, so the Louis waist pack mini or medium, when flipped sideways, is very, very different size. It looks ginormous compared to the mini, but when you look at their size comparison, they're very similar. So let's compare it to the medium, the small Jack. They're about the same size, just a completely different orientation, which means that the flanges are different, and then Louis has that zipper pocket on the back and Jack has that slip pocket on the back. So I wanted to pull this out because I know it's a question that's going to be asked for size comparisons. So I figured I'd nip that right now. The small Louis would probably be about the same size as the mini Jack. The medium Louis is about the same size as the small Jack. So for those of you already making a lot of Louis, you've got every skill you need to make a Jack, and you're gonna find it a little quicker because there isn't two wings. There's one wing, just one. And it's actually a strap anchor at the top. All right, so Chandel, you had a question. Am I doing a quilt retreat in Alberta? I am going to a quilt retreat in 3 weeks, hosted by Purple Cats Quilting, but I don't host quilt retreats. I attend just for fun. I do host the Great Alberta Bagoneer Getaway in the spring and in the fall. In the spring in Calgary and in the fall in Stony Plain. And all of that is on a page on my website with the upcoming dates and stuff. That one, the spring one, the tickets generally go on sale the end of January, beginning of February. So I'm working on the budgeting for that right now, getting that hotel in line and making sure we've got all the details in place. Leah, thank you for your comments. I got to stay at Leah's house all last week. She's one of my testers, as well as a very good friend. And she has a puppy I got to hang with all week. And Sean, thank you. I can't wait to see what you do with this, because you always have great bags that you're making. And so I hope I have answered any questions that may have come up regarding Jack. And I know my testers have had a ton of fun making different Jacks, and you can see there's already people who've made all 3 sizes or made 2 of the sizes. Tracy at Purple Cats has made probably 5 of the medium and 2 of the small. She's like, I think I need to try the mini, and mini is small. If you're a beginner and you want to try Jack, I recommend starting with the bigger one. The thing about sewing a bigger Jack is that those curves that you're dealing with are more gradual on a larger bag than they are on a smaller bag. So I recommend using your medium to get used to the pattern, get used to sewing those corners. The corners is something that people ask me about all the time. What are your tips and tricks for sewing those corners? I have a couple of items to note, because especially down at the bottom where you get those tighter, smaller rounds, smaller stitch length allows you to do more curve. I sew based my gusset to my main panel before I get a full seam allowance. So I will baste at 1/4 inch before I sew it at 3/8. And that allows me to spend more time without pins, without clips, without staples, without anything by my needle when I get to those corners. Also, when you do go to put your gusset on your front or your gusset on your back, do this in multiple stages. Always do it in multiple stages. I like to sew any long straight edge where it's supposed to be, and then deal with any corner. So I'll line up that bottom mark, or the center marks on the bottom, and I'll stitch that. Then I'll line up the top center marks and I'll stitch that. And you could stitch those at full seam allowance, or you can just baste it inside the seam allowance. Same thing on the sides, just get them held so that when you're at your machine sewing those final corners, everything is staying. There's no shifting, no movement, no nothing. Okay? So the other thing I recommend when you do go to sew those tight corners, it's a little counterintuitive, but use a zipper foot. Your zipper foot is sitting on the seam allowance, and that extra fabric isn't being pushed down by the other half of the foot. So it allows you to manipulate that fabric a little better so that you can shift it out of the way and get rid of any puckers that are going to show up. So there's my tips. Smaller stitch length, baste it, and use a zipper foot for those tight corners. And that applies to the Louis, that applies to the Jack, that applies to those of you in the Bag of the Month Club, the Piero Sling Pack. all of those. They have some really tight corners, and that's the only reason I don't say it's a beginner bag. Corners. However, if you're not afraid of a little curve, give it a shot with your machine. I think you're going to like it. So Jack Sling Pack, it's on sale right now for 15% off. Today is, what day is it? I don't know, it's some day in October. It's on sale until November 3rd for 15% off. The discount's automatically applied at checkout. You don't have to do anything. Just put it in your cart and head to the checkout. You'll see the discount. Open up the pattern, read through it. As a designer, I tell you to read through it, not so you know it, but just so you can then come back and say, oh my God, I remember reading something about that step. Okay, it's a familiarization process. Use that QR code in the pattern for the supplement page. We've got extra information there. And as always, I am here if you have questions. So don't hesitate to message me. Don't hesitate to pop me an email. If I'm on the road, which I really am a lot of the time, it might take me a little bit to get back to you. I'm in Invermere with the Quilt Guild this weekend. I'm in Penticton next weekend with Black Rabbit Fabrics at a retreat. The following weekend, I'm actually out by Sylvan Lake with Purple Cats Quilting. And then I've got classes the following weekend with Emmaline Bags. Just give me a little leeway on responses, but I do respond. So check out my events page. I might be coming to a store near you. I feel like I'm on television now. And definitely try out the Jack Sling Pack. I think you're gonna like it. So thanks everybody, and let me know if you have questions. Bye.